The identities of children featured in this film have been protected. The children of prisoners face many emotional challenges when a parent is taken into custody, which can have a negative impact on their development. In most cases, at some point, the parent will be released, but it doesn't necessarily follow that life will revert to normal for the child.
I think with the children, they have such an expectation of when somebody's coming out of prison, and they think that everything's going to be okay now. Dad's coming home and we'll all be okay. And really it can be another massive strain on the family.
My daughter, she were like, because she were used to being just me and her, I think she got a bit jealous that he were there, because it was just us two all the time. And, you know, when they're in prison, they're not, you know, controlling the kids in any way, are they? You know, they've no say in their life at all. So when they come home, if the dad does tell them, do this or don't do that, it's like, well, you know, you've not been here for God knows how many months, so who are you to tell me, sort of thing. And I think they do have that bit of jealousy.
My youngest daughter ain't going to know no different. She's only going to know me being at home. She's going to be almost a teenager when he comes home. If kids don't want him here, then he can't come back to us. It's going to be their house. They don't. He's away for that long that it's not going to be his home no more.
One woman with a wealth of experience in prisoner family advocacy is Farida Anderson, who started up Partners of Prisoners, or POPs, 20 years ago as a way of supporting families through custodial sentences after the father of her own children was imprisoned.
The woman had become more independent, managing the bills, managing the finances. What was his role? What was his purpose? Now that can create the friction. The friction possibilities for that are for the children too. So unless we do the reintegration of somebody being released, that's got massive factors for both child and family.
Children of prisoners, and especially boys, are more likely to offend than other children who've been separated from their fathers. For Bev, the challenges facing her son are all too real.
I think my son's going to grow up thinking it's all right to go to jail. That's all I can say. I don't know with him. He's turned him violent. It's turned him from a really nice little boy to he's just nasty. He spits at me and swears at me and kicks me and stuff, and he never used to. But I think that's going to carry on. I don't know how to get out of this circle with him. Like I said, with his behaviour. The school are aware of his behaviour, but they say that he's really good at school. But I think he's going to go down the same road as his dad and end up in jail.
Although the experience of parental imprisonment can be damaging, not all children are adversely affected. But release brings its own challenges.
Ironically, the release bit is still an area that people don't always follow through. They always have a perception that when they leave prison, life will be happily ever after. It's the one thing that you live for when you're supporting somebody in prison, that you're all going to come home and live in this harmonious family. And actually that's when the most help's needed. And POPs tries to work on that by referring people to agencies like Bernardo's, by Sure Start. But families have to be willing for that. There's nothing worse than a forced relationship, and it's much better when families are receptive to wanting the help. I mean, I think that's the success of some of the third sector. They come to us with us having no statutory powers to influence or change. But what we can do is, when they're ready to work and change, is to point them in the right direction.
Another approach to reducing the cycle of offending is employed at Bristol Prison, where men have the chance to learn and reflect on the responsibilities as a father in preparation for their eventual release.
They have to think about how their children might be feeling, and we go quite deeply into the questions that children might have, like, where is Dad, why isn't he here, what's he doing, and just things like, does he love me, because he's gone away, does that mean that I've done something wrong, does it mean that he doesn't care about me, why can't I see him, when's he coming back, what's wrong with Mum, why is she upset, all of that, just the way it affects different people. And yeah, we do think quite a lot about the way children feel in that situation. And that can be really quite a hard-hitting time for individuals on the course. Their eyes are opened and they realise maybe for the first time that what they've done and where they are now is really impacting their family.
Quite often we see them on a big emotional journey. We've had certain prisoners a prisoner in the past that's re-engaged with his son that he lost contact with for many, many years. And actually that contact is still going on now. And he showed us letters to prove it. You know, again, I suppose that's through awareness of his responsibility to his child that he hadn't been in contact with for a long time.
We do quite a lot of drama and role play, kind of acting out different situations that might happen in a family.
Sarah, would you like to get out of that bloody bed and get yourself downstairs? You're going to be late for school again.
All right, Mum, listen, get off my case. I'll be down in a minute.
The sketch about the single parent, which is a mum dealing with her children on a school morning, came about when we were talking about roles, I think, and we were thinking about how a parent or a mother's role changes when her partner goes into prison.
I do not need this stress first thing in the morning. It is not good for us.
The stress of that and just all the different children's needs that are all coming on the mum.
Everything now, because of this course, is focused around my partner and my child. They're the most important people to me in my life, and it's not all about me now. It really isn't about me, and the responsibilities I have as a father goes a long, long way.
One of the practical parts of the course gets the prisoners to think about how they'll resume life on the outside without causing further disruption to their children.
Myself and my partner, when I finish my sentence, I'm going to get, we've talked about a period of reintegration, maybe shared housing accommodation, and maybe for a period of time, say a couple of months, because my daughter is quite young still. I mean, I don't want to throw a load of confusion her way. You know what I mean? She sees Daddy once a week, once a fortnight now, and I don't want to confuse her by just coming out and going full pelt back straight into the family household, because it'd be very confusing for her.
It might not be a big deal to be in prison, to be banged up 24 hours a day, but the impact you're making on your family is a big deal.
Yeah.
And anybody can sit behind a door all day, you know, but the impact it's having on your family out there, I think that's part of the sentence. That's part of the sentence. It's not just being behind a door and not being able to go out when you want and stuff, you know? And I think it's important to really understand that. And when I grew up, I had a few people in my family who were in prison, yeah, and I don't know what they took from going to prison, but they kept going back. It made it look to me as if it wasn't that bad prison. It was like, well, it's just my dad's been there, my uncle's been there, everybody else has been there. I was with my mum, I was fine, you know? But it's not until I've come here now and I've grown up and I thought to myself, it had a bigger impact on me than I realised at the time.
They are challenged on what they've done in the past, and obviously they've made mistakes. But what the course focuses on is them thinking about the other people within the family, not just themselves all the time. And also what they need to do so they don't make the same mistakes again in the future.
If you think about it, the family is the only thing, and the child, that will have been with that person from the point they've been arrested and to the point that they're released. All other agencies only have points of intervention. They are not a continuum, but the family's been there all the way through. And what we feel so important is to see and harness, and we think the families are the most stable factor.
Losing a parent to imprisonment can be a life-damaging event for a child, but it doesn't have to be. High-quality, child-centred visits to prison and support in the community can make an enormous difference to the life chances of the children of prisoners. Organisations involved with providing services to children will be teaming up in new ways, and it's vital that they share information. Sure Start Children's Centres are often an excellent place for parents to access a wide range of help and support.